Tariff truce extended. Market cheered a 90-day extension to the US-China tariff pause, easing trade tensions and boosting investor confidence, particularly in Japan and Australia. Trump remains non-committal on whether the August 12 deadline for raising tariffs on Chinese goods will be extended beyond today. Ladies and gentlemen, today's discussion will get preference on Trump's tariff tsunami. Trump's tariff new war he declared for 69 countries to realign the American alliance or American bloc. I do welcome all of you to today's International Affairs. My name is Rashid Kanchon. I will be your host today, and I have a very distinguished personality here who understands international relations better than anyone else. He writes international affairs, he reads international affairs, speaks on international affairs. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sure you guess this is Dr. Imtiaz Ahmed with us today. Sir, welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
You know, personally, I tell you, I'm very confident when I do show with you regarding the international affairs, because your vast experience and knowledge give us so much of confidence to learn more on international affairs. Welcome, sir. We have our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho, and from Washington we have Norman Floyd Barnes. Norman, let us begin with you. There are many things happening in Washington. Washington is taking preparation for Alaska meeting with Vladimir Putin. Washington is very facing on the removal decision of homeless people from the street. Donald Trump is very strict on that. What are the other things you have? Because I know you cover so many institutions like White House, Oval Office, Senate, Congress, and American politics, including the international affairs. Mr. Norman.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm talking from Washington, D.C. We are basically recovering from the announcement yesterday by the U.S. President Donald Trump, stating that effective Monday, they will, how to put it, the U.S. government is taking over federal control of the D.C. Police Department, and it will also be sending U.S. National Guards to the city to police in an effort to curb the crime spree perceived by the president. Crime rate has been going down over the past couple of years. This year has also been going down. However, under the opinion of the Trump administration, the crime has not approached the level that he felt comfortable, and he felt it was a time to change in the leadership. The DC Police Department consists of over 30,000 plus police officers. Effective immediately, Pam Bondi, the actual Attorney General, will be overseeing the police department. This is a historical event. This is the first time in American history where we have exercised what they call the home rule stated by the Constitution, that he can, in a state of emergencies, the president can seize and take over the police department and bring law and order back to the city. So under this order, the president has enacted total control of the police department through the federal government. In essence, now all law enforcement activities become under the federal government.
All right, Norman.
Federal agencies will be coming in, State Department.
All right, Norman,
Yes.
we'll be coming back to you for other issues. I need to get an opinion from Dr. Imtiaz sir, in Washington, what is happening. According to the American democracy, history of America is a land of migrants. But the true American people, they live in the street of Washington. Washington itself is not any state, it is a federal capital. and President Trump has decided to remove all the homeless people from the street. He will send them somewhere else, but the homeless people are telling this is their democratic right to live anywhere inside the American soil. How do you see this internal conflict will be starting by Donald Trump's decisions and forcing by his own police?
Well, thank you very much. No, I think this is something the American people have to resolve. I don't think we can resolve it from outside. I'm not sure how much it has to do with keeping DC crime free as much as the issue of having series of demonstrations, pro-Palestinian demonstrations in different cities of the United States. So, one has to see deeper into what Trump is trying to do. But this has been part of what I think the Republican agenda has been all about, to give more power to the president or use power as much as possible. Now, to what extent he will be able to make DC crime free on the one hand, or free from pro-Palestinian demonstrations, that is the other one. But as I said, the American people will be the last, the category which can decide about the future of the United States. I don't think we can talk about it, but I don't think the solution lies with us.
Sir, let us come to the US trade tsunami. I mean, Trump's Trump card pushing or imposing tariff on 69 countries with the US-China tariff truce extended for 90 days. What are the chances of a permanent deal, and how might this impact the global economy? Because when one side China is a manufacturing hub, on the other side US is the biggest market, and Trump has a personal interest to go for a winning side with China. How it will be possible?
Well, I'm not sure how much it is a trump card. I doubt that the kind of economy he's trying to use to resolve the core issue of deficit. You see, the problem of the United States is the deficit. It's a $38 trillion deficit, and Trump wants to solve that. Now, how do you do that? So far, there are two ways I think he found. One is to cut government expenditure, and we have seen that he has got out of WHO, he has got out of some of the UN agencies, also he has shut the US aid office. So, mainly to save the money that is to go to all those centers, and he found that it doesn't help the United States economy. That's one way of resolving, but that I think has come to a limit, it looks like. The second one is getting the tariff up and earning from there. Now, anyone, it doesn't take a big economic lesson to understand why United States has a deficit. Well, it has a deficit because the revenue is less than their expenditures. Simple as that. It is not. You don't take. So they have to, make more money because they spend more. And who spends more? It is the Washington D.C. government or the federal government spends. Now, where they spend more? Where they spend more on weapons building. Now, that's the area they have to look into. Now, they don't want to look into. Somehow, Trump understands that a little bit of that, and it looks like, because that's the reason why he wants to resolve the conflicts in Ukraine to begin with, and if possible in Gaza, because he understands this war and the way the United States gives money to this war is not helping at all, and the deficit goes up. So, one of the solutions he finds that if Ukraine war has to continue, let the Europeans pay for it. And if, I don't know, in the Gaza one would be a very difficult one, because I don't think there are a good number of countries who want to spend money there. So, the point here is they have to come out with a formula. Now, what I see over the years, and I can go back as early as Reagan, he also tried to balance the budget. And I remember that there was this young guy and young economist, and he was praising this young economist. Oh, he's the brilliant guy. He has come up with a formula of balancing the budget. But then after a while, and we don't hear about that person at all. So I think whether the Democrats or the Republican over the years come up with different formulas, trying to tell the people that, look, we have a solution of resolving your deficit that you have, because the issue of the deficit is a critical one, because from I think now to 5 to 7 years, they say at the most 10 years, the interest that they are now paying on the deficit will be more than the US defense expenditure or defense budget.
Right,
That's a serious problem. So I think this is another quote unquote magic that Republican is trying to show, or Donald Trump is to show, but at the end I'm afraid it's not going to work.
Right, sir. From you, I want to prepare a question for Shamsul Alam Pantho. Sure. The world's largest economy, United States of America, is under 38 trillion deficit. They are now trying to recover this deficit and to boost the market. Do you really think with ongoing so many wars, so many problems in the world, including Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, Israel, Iran, and other small conflicts, the economy will be recovered? Because we have already seen the third largest economy of the world, Japan, is facing economic slowdown.
Well, thank you for your question, Mr. Kanchan. A very warm welcome to Professor Imtiaz for being here, and good morning to Norman Floyd Barnes joining us from Washington, D.C. Actually, your question is more or less generalizing over the last 8 months of Donald Trump's administration and how far he has done to cut his $38 trillion deficit to the American economy. One might take notice that the defense budget of America is nearly $1 trillion, which is by far compared to the next 9 top countries together combined would make such a budget. So, of course, he must understand these escalatory facts across the entire globe. Many countries do share border disputes, and nonetheless, at this moment, we are yet to see what kind of a meeting Donald Trump shall have in Alaska with Vladimir Putin, leader of Russia, coming up this Friday, 15th August. However, one must understand that Donald Trump takes pride in the media as well. He uses the media in order to distract from the reality of certain instances. Let me point out, Donald Trump's DC crackdown is a political stunt that could take a dark turn. Of course, Trump has federalized the DC police force and using this crime emergency to justify a DC takeover. Of course, it shows how he has used civilian forces into his command, and I was hearing Norman Floyd Barnes saying that as the supreme seat of the country, he can do so, but such a situation does not or has not arrived, but he is using that as a way to distract the regular folk from something like the Epstein files. We've picked out on this matter many times. However, the Republican Party seems to focus on transparency and definitely they understand the mandate of the people in America is the strongest mandate they will ever face by any administration. So once again, I would like to say that Donald Trump should analyze and reconsider what his movements are for the American people.
Right, sir. Let us again connect with Washington. Norman is there. Norman, would you mind to tell us something? What are the top headlines in the US media like Wall Street Journal, New York Times or Washington Post, media like CNN? Because Trump has floated the idea of a land swap as part of a peace deal with Russia. Could this set a dangerous precedent for territorial dispute worldwide? What do you think?
Again, thank you for having me on this morning. The issue regarding the land swap discussions by President Trump is something that is quite interesting in the fact that he has decided that the dispute between Russia and Ukraine is just about territory. The situation is a little bit more complex than that. Ukraine position is one that we are one country. We are not going to give up any land. We will fight to the end. Russia's response is that we are occupying land which we have spent money, time, people, and lives with, and we also are not going to give it up. So with this concept of swapping land or making a deal, it's going to be a very interesting situation. This may be a very short meeting or it may be a very long meeting. But right now there's a problem. The problem is that no one wants to give up anything, but Donald Trump wants to make a deal where one party will win, one party will lose. There'll be changes of territory, and there'll be financial deals that be made. I see this as a problem because Russia has a larger goal. They're looking at expansion of their empire across Europe and other parts. Europe is also looking at this situation at the same time, knowing the fact that if Ukraine goes down, we'll be next. So this is going to be a very interesting meeting on Friday. The outcome of that is going to determine what's going to happen worldwide. I don't see anything positive that's going to develop from this meeting. There'll be discussions, they'll be talking about deals, but the end of the day is that no one is willing to give up their land.
All right,
both
all
sides.
right, Mr. Norman, I want to just request you to stay online because there is two things you said. You don't see any hope from this meeting, any conclusion from this meeting, but you said that discussion will be opening. Let us go to the expert. Here is Professor Imtiaz. I want to ask him how might the August 15 Trump and Putin summit in Alaska reshape NATO's position and Europe's security guarantees to Ukraine, because war started. I mean, Russia invaded Ukraine because of NATO's aggression, NATO's expansion, and Ukraine's ambition to join NATO.
Well, the first thing that we need to keep in mind that since both sides decided to meet, there must have been some developments. Without developments, meeting in Alaska just for talking would backfire both in Washington DC and Moscow. So why would they do that? You know, particularly why Putin would do that? Because and at the same time, I think Donald Trump also, because he has been saying that this I can stop the Ukraine war in the first day or first few months of my presidency. So we need to wait. We need to still wait, because I don't think this is very much clear that Ukraine alone cannot continue the war without United States. This is clear. Okay. The second thing is clear is Europe alone would not want to take the burden of continuing the war with Russia. You know, it doesn't help because they are neighbors. They have to leave. Even now, with all the sanctions, look that some of the trading figures between Russia and Europe, something that India keep on flagging every time that why you are after me. So my point here is we need to wait and see, because this probably would be one of the biggest breakthrough if they succeed in something. Because on the issue of land swap, keep in mind, I don't think Ukraine can recover the land in any way. That's out of the question. And the number of casualties that we see on the Ukrainian side is pretty high. it has come to a point where I don't think they can continue without NATO support. And we see NATO getting involved. NATO is practically involved in the Ukraine war, and that is draining United States money. That the point is why US knowingly would do that, or Trump, as he wants to basically change the US economy in a different direction. So I still have hope that this Alaska meeting would change to something better.
And we'll open a discussion.
Exactly, but we just have to wait and see how far they can go. On the issue of Zelensky, and this I see Norman flagging quite high, that Ukraine would not agree, or Zelensky will not agree. But go back to 2014. They removed Yanukovych, and he was elected president.
Yes, sir.
Don't forget that. So removing Zelensky is an issue that is decided, or the fate of Zelensky is decided in Washington DC, not in Kiev. As it happened to Yanukovych. So my point here is, I don't think Zelensky has that strength to remain on his own without the US support.
Very wonderful description. I just want to go to our international affairs commentator, Shamsul Alam Pantho. When he was visiting Middle East, he said to the media that why America should spend its own tax-paid money for the security of the Arabs, for the security of the sheikhs, for the security of the kings. And the same thing in different languages he said in Hague during the meeting of NATO. That means America understood that America should not spend their own money to give the security to others. This is the symptom we see in Trump's recent moves. How do you explain, after long years, Donald Trump understood America should save money as well?
Well, as per your statement, you mentioned about his trip to the Middle East. Back then, he was more of a salesman than the President of the United States. Why I say this is because of the numerous deals he struck with all the Middle Eastern nations, especially with Qatar and the entire Air Force One, trying to be a new Air Force One airplane for the United States of America. However, as for now, my only comment would be that I wouldn't nominate him for a Nobel Prize because he arrives at a ceasefire, but that's the end of it. Both sides, cessation of firing, cessation of enemy feelings, but right afterwards there is no work on it, on the matter. We've seen it in the India-Pakistan, even though India keeps on claiming that it wasn't the United States. I don't know what kind of rhetoric they are or what kind of narrative they're following. But it only ends in a ceasefire, but there's no work to be done afterwards, or there's no mediation later, which can easily fall out in the coming days and weeks. We're yet to see something with the Iran-Israel issue, and as well as the India-Pakistan. The issues are still not resolved as of yet, but the United States do claim that they are the reason that such wars have ended. But when it comes to situations like the Middle East, they are not hasty in stopping and providing weapons and ammunitions to these countries.
Right, sir. As you have raised Middle East issue, ladies and gentlemen, let me very warm welcome to Professor A.K. Enamul Haq. Due to traffic issues in the city, he has been arrived in a little bit late, but I want to begin right now Middle East issue with Professor Enamul Haq. The killing of 5 Al Jazeera journalists in Gaza has intensified criticism of Israel's military actions. How might this incident affect international media freedoms and diplomatic pressure, process and progress?
Well, I think they are facing diplomatic pressure. We have seen even Australia today said that we are going to recognize the Palestinian country. So I think the pressure is mounting. But my question is, at what cost? If you look at the people of Gaza, if you look at the health of the children, that it reminds me of 1974 Bangladesh. If you think about the pictures, I still remember a month ago I was talking to my son, and he was telling me the situation is grave, and I said, I'm still waiting for the pictures if it is so grave. Now, the UN agencies have told everyone that this is coming, and it is now almost everyone who has human mind, they would pressurize their government. This is a man-made disaster, and it has happened because the whole world has been oblivious to the whole thing. They didn't want to talk about it, and I think it is time for the whole world to come and discuss these issues seriously. But again, I think Israel is under, this is a issue that I believe, and I don't know what others will think. My logic is, when you look at the governance of Israel, it's a country run by, you say coalition, but it's a coalition of proportional representation, and that itself is a killer, because there are one or two MP who is actually designing the whole thing. In other words, Netanyahu previously, whatever he was thinking, his 2 or 3 thin majority, the group of people who are giving him conditions what to do. And I think that also tells us about the whole system itself, because this is why they could not have a stable government. It is not true that as Israelis themselves are not discussing it. They are discussing it, but it's not getting through because of the PR system they have been following. So I would say it's a failure of all. I'm pretty sure that even the Jewish community in the United States are pressuring now. They said this is not fair. And I think as a war, even though this is big suffering for the Gaza people, but it has raised voices, and I really feel sorry for all these children who are suffering there.
Sir, before I go to Professor Imtiaz, I want to do one more question to you. General Benny Gantz, opposition leader in Israel, he is always a very high-level critics of Benjamin Netanyahu. Recently, he has given an interview at ILTV, Israel television, national television. He said, this is the last time of Benjamin Netanyahu's rule, but he is creating enemies around the world, that one day the Jewish will have no friend, because the ruler in Washington will change, policy will change. Do you think that one day American policy will be changed for Israel?
I don't think that will happen, my own feeling, because if you look at, it's not Israeli policy, it's a American policy in the Middle East. They want their foothold, and their foothold in any other country are not firm. They could change any day. So I think Americans, obviously Trump has his own view, but American deep state would not abandon Israel. They will stay with Israel. Obviously they are embarrassed. Obviously there are own people who are, but the questioning is going to raise issues that probably Israel has never faced before. So I would say that way, that yes, Israel, before giving help to Israel, they will ask questions. I'm pretty sure that will happen. But deep state in the US will stay in favor of Jewish state.
I understand, sir. I have a relevant question to Professor Imtiaz. Could this latest escalation derail any back channel negotiations between Israel and regional players, including Iran?
Well, I think the first thing, Netanyahu has to go. I don't think with Netanyahu and his team you can change, and I will agree with Professor Namul Haq. I don't think you can change, because the relationship, of course, with the deep state and Netanyahu is very strong. Now, what is happening now is not only the international pressure. The reason why Australia, Canada, and some of the European countries have agreed, including France, have agreed to recognize this September during the UN General Assembly, is because of the pressure of their own people. I don't think for any humanitarian reason. If that was the reason, they could have done long back. They are doing it because they know they will lose the election. They know that they have serious consequences at home. So that's the reason they are changing. Okay. Now this pressure is also being built inside Israel. If you look at the number of Jews that are coming out, or Israelis coming out every day on the streets of Tel Aviv, signals almost the end of Netanyahu. Now Netanyahu is because he's trying to show that we are in a emergency stage, and so no. But if there is an election, Netanyahu is not going to stay. That's for sure. So I believe I still have faith in human beings. Tagore's famous statement, "Manushir proti bishwas harano pap." I shall not commit the grievous sin of losing faith in humans. So I still have faith in humans, faith in Israelis and faith in Jews, faith in the American people, that they will rise to the occasion and change this genocidal regime. Because what is happening, this is one genocide that one can see live, and that is yes, committed by the Israelis, but backed by bulk of the Western powers. That's the problem, and that's the reason why the Europeans have come out on the street saying that it's not in my name. Because to say an European that I am a genocidal after the way they have suffered during Second World War and First World War, it doesn't make any sense. So their governments, for reasons one can talk about for hours, but the point here is we see American people coming out, we see Europeans coming out, Australians coming out. I think that tells you that things are changing. This was not the case 10 years back. This was not the case even 5 years back, where we didn't see Jews coming out the way they have come out. Look at some of the universities in the United States. The reason why Trump is bringing all these National Guards in DC I still believe it has to do with pro-Palestinian demonstration. So my point here is changes are coming. Yes, it's slow. It needs to be geared up. And once that happens in Israel, particularly in Israel, I believe one can still go either for a two-state solution, that's one way, or a one state with both people. That's the other one. Make a democratic state. I have always, I think I said last time also, why doesn't Israel become the 51st state of the United States?
Yes, sir.
If it becomes 51st state, then it goes under the US Constitution, and then you have democracy, everywhere throughout Israel and Palestine. So better you make 51 state and, help the world. So I think the Americans should, think about that also. So the point is, people are coming out more than before, so that's where I have my hope.
I was really listening very attentively. When I'll be coming back after the break, I'll have the back-to-back question to Norman Floyd Barnes from Washington and Shamsul Alam Pantho, our international affairs correspondent. How about the proposal from Professor Imtiaz that Tel Aviv or Israel should be another state directly to practice the democracy, to do the democratic behave with the neighboring countries?
সারা দেশে লাখো মানুষের কঠোর কর্মতৎপরতা ও নিষ্ঠায় এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন 16 কোটি মানুষের হাতের নাগালে। দীর্ঘ 30 বছর ধরে বিশ্বস্ততা ও দ্রুততার সাথে সেবা দেওয়ায় গ্রাহক সেবায় এখন শীর্ষে। বাংলাদেশে গ্রাহক সেবার সাফল্যের পর এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন বিশ্ব বাণিজ্য কেন্দ্র সিঙ্গাপুরে। আপনার যে কোনো পণ্য সিঙ্গাপুর থেকে বাংলাদেশে বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন। এসএ পরিবহন প্রাইভেট লিমিটেড, লজিস্টিক্স পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, 22 রবার্টস লেন, সিঙ্গাপুর 218302। ফোন 0065 629 24900। বাংলাদেশ থেকে সিঙ্গাপুরে পণ্য বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন ঢাকা সহ দেশের যে কোনো 80টি শাখা কেন্দ্রে। এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, আপনার সেবা সব সময়।
Welcome, Grand Palace Hotel, Dhaka. A majestic lobby blending timeless elegance with modern design. Experience 5-star comfort in suites and rooms.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As Norman has the time limitations, I want to go to Norman first. Norman, I said that Professor Imtiaz is proposing that why not Israel become the 51st state of United States, at least Middle East people will see some democracy.
Yes, that is a very dynamic and intriguing proposal. In essence, in the minds of the people, we have a long-standing relationship with Israel. Israel, us, we are part of Israel. Israel is part of us in terms of the people. The location of Israel right now and their current situation is the embarrassment, how they handling and dealing with the situation in Palestine. The two-state solution is the best option, I believe, for the region. The United States always wants to have a footprint. Israel is looked upon as a gateway into the Middle East, and we have invested so much time, energy, and effort into it. And we are concerned about giving that up or destroying the image. Yes, we can possess it. We can, Israel can do what they're doing, but the image, without the relationships with the region, is very meaningless. The idea of having the 51st state in their mind, we are already there. The concept of, and in the minds of America, Israel is part of us, and we're part of Israel.
Thank you thank you very much for acknowledging.
Techniques and process is not working.
Mr. Norman, I appreciate the direct acknowledgement.
We have to make a better way. Yes.
Norman, thank you very much. I really appreciate your contribution to this show. We are really enjoying, and millions of people from Bangladesh are really appreciating your contribution with us. Thank you very much. Have a great day today. Ladies and gentlemen, let us come back to the studio again with Shamsul Alam Panto, our international affairs commentator. Is there any other big issues you want to pick for the rest of the time for discussion in the studio, because we have two very prominent, distinguished panelists today?
Well, I would understand that the biggest issue of this entire month, and by far now, would be the Israeli aggression towards Gaza. And I have some names that I want to point out. There's Smotrich, there's Israel Katz, there's Ben Gvir, alongside Benjamin Netanyahu. So the names I've mentioned, these are the people who are going to make a dark history for the citizens of Israel. Why I say this is because they had to face a 12-day war with Iran. These are citizens who are hidden inside bunkers, and I'm sure they didn't want such an escalation in this year of 2025. Let me just add on here that British Jews have signed an open letter to PM Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper that the group Palestine Action is not a terrorist group, and that they only are there in the support of Palestinians. So this creates a new history, a new line of support from Jews who are not in Israel but across in Britain, who also condemn this aggression from the current administration of Israel into Gaza. And last night I was seeing Al Jazeera Arabic. Every one of the news editors and entire staff came out in mourning of the killing of Anas al-Sharif, who was situated right outside the hospital, the famous hospital in Gaza, and he was his life across along with another 4 lives had been taken by an Israeli air missile strike. So this has the entire journalistic community across the globe moved by such aggression.
Right, sir. This made the entire media world, entire news world very sad. Yesterday will be remarkable in the history. Sir, I want to understand one thing. Palestine, we always call free Palestine. But the land of Palestine, we understand, under the leadership of PLO, I mean Mahmoud Abbas, has not been attacked this time, I mean these 2-3 years after 7 October, all happenings in Gaza, and Palestine officially did not do anything for saving Gaza or did not start any negotiation for Gaza. So, should we call it Palestine and Gaza is a different entity?
Politically, yes, they are almost two different entities, because the political division within Palestinian people is also very important. Gaza is is morely Hamas running the whole thing, and the Israeli strategy was to divide them. It has been successful in the sense they showed Gaza as separate than Palestinians. So the whole world is also not saying it's a Palestinian fight, it's a Gaza fight. So you can see the strategic decision was there to separate Gaza. I think Gaza is also the corridor for linking with the Middle East, with the Egyptians, so that's another one. So politically they wanted this to happen, that is number one. I think at one point, if I am not wrong, President Trump also wanted Gaza real estate development. If that was an interesting news came out, I'm not sure how much it is true. So Gaza has its own interest. On the top of it, I don't know whether I'm correct or not, there has been a alternative to Suez Canal, if you know the new route, trade route, and that is supposed to pass through north of Gaza. So if you want a safe route north of Gaza for a trade route alternative Suez Canal, then Gaza itself need to be controlled. So for me to say which one is correct is very difficult, but I can see many elements. Those elements, the corridor that, I think that was the corridor India was proposing. India was part of this corridor so that they can pass their trading route without touching Suez Canal, because Suez Canal is under different turmoil, is also congestion there. So that was something that I thought that is worth looking at it, because it's just passing through north of Gaza and they wanted a safe route, and Gaza is I would say the black point on this whole route. So that could be another reason why they have done it specifically. Surprising for me that the Palestinian in the West Bank, they did oppose. It's not that they were lacking it, but the government did not do it, and probably this is where things will go, in a different way. In other words, people will account their own government at one point, but it's not true that they did not talk about it. They did talk about it, they did not participate in anything, probably to safeguard their own people, but that means they are thinking Gaza is separate than Palestinian, which is not supposed to happen.
So Israel took the opportunity of divide and rule. I want to come for a conclusion on the definition of war from my favorite, Professor Imtiaz Sir. Sir, people are calling war is a business. It is already established, but somebody is calling war is to reshape the world order, and war is to reorganize the American alliance, what we call American supporters. How do you see this? Which definition will be perfect for?
Well, the famous statement or famous definition has been given by Claude Zwitz, that war is politics by other means. I think it remains so. It's politics by other means. Now, once war takes place, then we know it's end of diplomacy, because so long diplomacy continues, there are, at least one can see there is no war. There can be conflict, there can be what you call Cold War, something of that kind, but at least not hot war. The moment hot war starts, it's the end of diplomacy, something that we saw in Ukraine, and something that we now see also in the case of Israel moving into Gaza. The point here is, if you look at humans' aspirations over the years, humans have actually become more peaceful. Yes, there are wars. I can give you one figure. If you look at the figure of the Second World War, where 66 million people died in 11 years, which means every year 6 million people died. That is no longer there. The annual death because of war has come down. Well, any death is bad, but I'm just trying to give a figure. So 6 million, 66 million, and look at the horrendous what you call the death. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, 6 million Jews got killed, 22 to 24 million Russians got killed. Nobody talks about that now. So the point here is humans have become more peaceful. But the question is, there are lobbies, there are economic interests where insecurity plays a role. And this is where the military industrial complex comes. Keep in mind that the person who coined this term was a former army general and a former president of the United States, President Eisenhower. This did not, the military industrial complex did not come from Marx or Lenin's paper. It came from incumbent president at that time in his farewell speech. He was telling the Americans in the farewell speech, given that he was a military person, said, you have to be careful about this military industrial complex. That MIC still remains. And if you have an MIC, you need conflicts. There's no way you can do without conflict, because you are producing weapons after weapons every day. You are doing research, and here the universities get tied up. And this is where there's Harvard and Yale, yes, they are good universities, but don't forget they are in the business of killing people. So I've always said that they should get less numbers, because any university involved in killing people cannot be the university in terms of ranking. There should be some negative points to that. So you have the media, for that matter, you have the universities, the researchers. This is what happens with the military industrial complex. So how do you end that? And I see merit of, at least in the first few months of what Donald Trump was trying to do, was trying to get out of this military industrial complex. He said that I'm a peace builder. I want to be a peace builder, and he is aspiring to get a Nobel Prize in all those things. So my point here is, I don't think you can change U.S. economy overnight like that. And to change U.S. economy, and pardon my my line, you need a mad person. You cannot have a normal person change U.S. economy. It's everywhere. Look at the nearly $1 trillion military budget. How can you change? Look at the number of people employed in the military industrial complex. Where will the employment come from? So here Trump is trying to say, okay, look, I want to bring the manufacturing sector back to the United States. You can say that. Is it possible? So the other day, there was one in the inquiry committee meeting, one member raised the question about hiking up the price of the bananas, and and the point is, U.S. can't make bananas, so they have to import bananas. So why do you put a tariff on the bananas? Because if you put a tariff on the bananas, the Americans would not get the bananas in the price that they want. So you are actually taxing. At the end of the day, you are taxing the Americans. Now, will the Americans tolerate that? So I don't think so. But as I said, the U.S. presidents, whether from Democrats and the Republicans, over the years, they come and go. They try to show that, oh, they have a magic. We saw that magic with Obama once. We saw that with Bill Clinton, as if everything was going to be resolved, and then it doesn't work, because the fact of the matter is they have to put absolute attention on the military industrial complex. Unless they change that, I'm afraid they will not be able to change the world they want to have.
Sir, I just framed a question for Dr. Enamul Haq. Do you really believe that American dominance or American supremacy on world economy and world politics will be as it is we are seeing today?
It is changing. It is changing, but you have to understand, America is a superpower. There is no other economy except China close to it. So, and the problem with the Chinese economy is a big economy, but it's a weak economy in the sense too many population. If you look about the average income is 1/10 of American. So if you look at the American income versus Chinese income, it's a rich country, but 1/10. So and with such a large population, they cannot involve in politics the way Americans can. So that's a disadvantage for them. At the moment, I don't see a big change coming, but in any transition, it's a fight. Is that Americans will try to put up their faces and say, this is what we want, and others will also. Now, Chinese is not going to lead the way we expect Chinese. My feeling is that they are not going to lead the world. They are going to wait for others to come out. Either it has to be collective lead by Chinese, Russian, and probably Indian, if they can do it. Otherwise, one country cannot challenge America. It's a big country. And remember, it doesn't matter how we define it, Western world is defined by the American dominance. So my feeling as an economist, academic, I would say this is a transition started. Whether it will be successful or not, that depends on how the rest of the world react to it. And it's not easy. America is going to pull plugs from everywhere. It's a powerful economy.
Right, sir.
And that is an issue that I
Right,
think.
sir. I will have one question to you and Imtiaz, sir, but I need a short answer because we are running out of time. You know, world politics, every day one person is becoming the top headlines. This is Donald Trump. He is controlling or molding the world politics, world economics. His also approval rate is getting down, and it is 33 this morning. Do you think he can control his position among the American people for the next 3.5 years?
He is granted this position of the POTUS because of the people's mandate, and I believe that he must consider what the American households want before understanding what all the major other nations in the world may be asking from his seat. But of course, as you said, his approval ratings are taking a slump, and I believe that he should once again understand his own citizens of America who have placed him on the seat of President of the United States.
Sir, I want your last comment on this question.
I think Donald Trump is desperately trying to lose the midterm election. Because if he loses the midterm election, he can say that, look, I'm trying, but
They didn't
no,
let me.
the House of Rep is not allowing me, the Senate is not allowing me, but I'm trying. So you see, over the years, I said, I have seen this. But what I think is very important, we are moving into a multipolar world. And this is because of the human aspirations. It has less to do with China, India, Brazil. It has to do with human aspirations. Look at the human aspirations of Bangladeshis. It's high. Look at the human aspiration 10 years back and look at the human aspirations of Bangladesh now. Unthinkable, isn't it? So, the world is moving to a multipolar world. What United States needs to be needs to happen is the US needs to become a normal state. It's not a normal state, okay? Yes, one can call it superpower and what, so it's a normal state. It needs to become like Spain. Look, Spain was a huge empire. Don't forget, Spain's empire was too big to handle. Look at Spain now. Look at Portuguese. Wow, what a superb empire Portuguese had. You know, whole of Brazil was under them, isn't it? So my point is, they need to become normal state like Spain and Portugal. Now, whether the Americans and whether the Western world is ready intellectually, the mindset, that I think is the issue. At this stage, they are not. And that's the reason one philosopher said, when you have this transformation, the old world goes away and the new world is yet to become, the monsters come to play. What we now are witnessing, the monsters are playing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I really enjoyed the show today because I have the panelists like Dr. Enamul Haq and Professor Imtiaz, along with Norman and Shamsul Alam Pantho. It was a great discussion. I believe you enjoyed. Thank you for watching SATV's International Affairs show. I'll see you tomorrow.